What is up, everybody? Purple and Gold podcast for Tuesday, February 24th. LSU back on the diamond tonight, 8-0. Take on Mcneese, 6:30 p.m. Central Time start in Alex Box Stadium. It is a fantastic slate of college baseball midweek games tonight. UNO and Tulane locally, Alabama and Southern Miss. There are several other mid-major teams playing against high major teams. Campbell is playing Coastal Carolina at 4 o'clock. It is a fantastic slate on the diamond tonight in college baseball, and certainly LSU and Mcneese is what we will focus on here. Before we get to the preview of the game, I did want to point out a note on LSU's men's basketball team. LSU got a commitment last night from Adam Foxwell. He is a 22-year-old Australian player. He has played the last 4 years in professional basketball in Australia in the NBL. He is currently averaging 11 points and 4 assists. This is not a Charles Bediako situation. This is not a situation where an American-born player went to play professionally and then is attempting to come back and play college. He's never played college. LSU's obviously got an Australian connection in their assistant coach, David Patrick, who coached in Australia. LSU has a current player on the team, Max McKinnon from Australia. One of their signees next year, Marcus Vaughns, who's already on campus now as a high school player, graduated high school early. He's redshirting this year at LSU. He'll be on the team next year. So Foxwell becomes the fourth member of LSU's 2026-27 basketball recruiting class. Whether or not Matt McMahon will be here to coach him remains to be seen. That's all up in the air. Certainly nothing new on that front, but every time LSU loses a game, that discussion gets ramped up even more. Let's move on to the preview of the baseball game tonight. Mcneese comes in here 2-5. They got swept over the weekend at home by Kansas. Mcneese is coached by former LSU pitcher Justin Hill, who is in his 13th year now at Mcneese. They opened the season by losing 2 of 3 against Sam Houston. Then they had a really good win on the road in Ruston against Louisiana Tech last week in the midweek. Louisiana Tech is 7-1. That's their only loss. And then Mcneese got swept by Kansas. Kansas is, of course, coached by former LSU assistant Dan Fitzgerald. They have pitched to an ERA over 6, but they've struck out 84 people. They have, however, walked 54 people in 7 games, so I fully expect LSU's patience at the plate to be a problem for Mcneese. It will be a relatively chilly night at Alex Box Stadium. This is a little bit of a trap spot for LSU coming off of the big road series, tournament victory where they played the 3 Power 4 teams. You come back home. Do you relax a little bit against Mcneese, a team who is capable, and certainly this will be among the highlights of their schedule to play at Alex Box Stadium. Here's why I think LSU has a massive advantage in this game. One is I think LSU's so talented, and we talked about this, they're so deep in the amount of players that they can use and match up. And so I think when guys are in the lineup, they want to stay in the lineup. When guys get in the lineup, they want to perform. I don't expect you'll see Chris Stanfield tonight. So one of the things I'll be looking at when the lineup comes out is this the night that LSU would give someone else a shot in the outfield besides Braden Simpson or Tanner Reeves? Is this a spot for Daniel Harden? Is it a spot for Mason Braun to maybe start in left field and let someone else DH? Be interesting to see how Jay Johnson plays that. My guess is maybe a guy like Tanner Reeves is back out there in left field tonight, but we'll see how Jay plays that. The other reason why I think LSU has a massive advantage in this game is, and I want to take a minute, let me take a step back for a minute. let me talk about midweek college baseball games for a minute. You know, LSU generally does very well in these games, but whenever they lose one, it seems to be a referendum on the program and the team itself. And I want to remind people that every LSU baseball team has had some embarrassing stumbles, some embarrassing moments. And last year's team, who won the national championship, only lost one midweek game, but it was a midweek game, in which they were run ruled by Northwestern State. After there was a lightning delay, LSU made 3 errors. It was just a horrible night. The reason why I think this team might be built differently in terms of being able to play in these midweek games is I think it's the depth of their pitching. And that's where this LSU team, and tonight, I think they have a huge advantage. We talked about this yesterday. Jaden Newt, Zach Cowan, Santiago Garcia, Marcos Paz, Reagan Ricken. None of those 5 guys pitched over the weekend. None of those 5 guys has pitched since at least last Wednesday. That should be plenty enough to beat Mcneese. That might be enough to win a game in the SEC. And yet, none of those 5 guys pitched over the weekend. So, how does LSU play the pitching staff tonight? Well, I think there's a couple of options. LSU started Jaden Newt last Monday night. He went 3 innings against which we now think is a good Kent State team. He ran into trouble in the 3rd inning. He gave up a 3-run homer. Do you send him back out there and say, okay, he's your midweek starter? Probably not to go more than 2 or 3 innings, though. I will remind everyone, LSU has another 4-game weekend coming up. They're going to play Dartmouth and Northeastern Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So there is that Monday game where they will need a starter who's not Kason Evans, not Cooper Moore, not William Schmidt. You could start Zach Cowan again. They started Zach Cowan last Wednesday against Nichols. It didn't go well. Zach Cowan pitched the Sunday before against Milwaukee. It didn't go well. They could start Marcos Paz and give him an inning or 2 in a starting role in a tight situation in a 0-0 game. Or they could start Reagan Ricken, who's coming off the 3 scoreless, hitless innings last Wednesday against Nichols. My gut tells me they're going to start Jaden Newt. My thought on this is I think Jaden Newt, Zach Cowan, and probably Santi Garcia probably all pitch no more than 3 innings, but probably an inning or 2, right? Maybe Newt, if he starts, gives you 2. Cowan starts, gives you 2. Newt backs up Cowan. Cowan backs up Newt. Maybe he gives you 2. Maybe Garcia gives you an inning, maybe an inning plus. Maybe you try to get through 5 or 6 innings with those 3 guys. Then that would leave you Marcos Paz and Reagan Ricken to potentially take this thing home. And obviously, if you needed someone else, there are others available. Those are not the only 5 guys available. But I think those are the majority of the guys that LSU would like to see tonight. So I think that's why LSU has a huge advantage in the game, is I just think they have such depth on their pitching staff. There are guys on this team like DJ Primo and Danny Lockenmeyer and Connor Benj, who would be normal midweek pitchers who just don't get any work on this team. I mean, they had to have Lackenmeyer and Benj come out at the end of this 11-0 game against UCF just to get a chance to get on the mound and pitch. DJ Primo, I think, has pitched 1 time all year. So I feel like it's the depth of LSU's pitching staff that is going to be paramount for them in these midweek games. And I feel like that is going to be the difference tonight. I like LSU tonight. I like LSU. I don't want to say relatively easy tonight because, again, it may be a slow start. Weather's going to be kind of cold. But I do like LSU tonight, and I do think LSU runs their record to 9-0 and runs their winning streak to 17 games. We'll be back tomorrow to cover it. Enjoy the game tonight. Enjoy the rest of the baseball. As always, be good to one another. And always, 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 go Tigers.